The transmission came through at exactly midnight Galactic Standard Time. Admiral Kira Vance stood on the bridge of the ISS Thunderborn, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing 17 different star systems flashing red. Each one represented a human colony under attack. Each one was crying for help. The Zorith Coalition had made their move. After 3 years of whispered threats and small border conflicts, they had launched a coordinated assault on every human holding in the outer territories. Their leader, a cold-blooded reptilian warlord named Dexon, had sent a message to Earth Central Command just hours before the attacks began. "Humans have spread too far," the message said. "Your expansion ends today. Surrender your colonies or watch them burn." The alien council that governed most of the galaxy had expected Earth to negotiate. They had expected humans to beg for peace talks, to offer land and resources in exchange for safety. That was how things worked in galactic politics. The weak gave way to the strong, and everyone assumed humans were weak. They were wrong. Admiral Vance turned to her communications officer. "Open a channel to all fleet commanders. Priority 1. Within seconds, the faces of 12 admirals appeared on her screen. Each one commanded a battle group stationed across human space. Each one had received the same reports of attacks on their sectors. "You have all seen the situation," Vance said, her voice calm but carrying the weight of steel. "The Zorith believe they can take what we have built. They believe we will scatter and hide. They believe wrong." She pressed a button on her command chair, and a new display appeared. It showed the positions of every human warship in the fleet, over 4,000 vessels spread across the galaxy. "Execute Protocol Ironclad. All ships converge on their assigned targets. We hit back within 6 hours. No mercy, no surrender. We take back everything they have touched, and then we make them regret this day for the next 1,000 years." The admiral saluted and disappeared from the screen. The largest military operation in human history had just begun. On the colony world of New Geneva, the situation was desperate. The Zorith had landed 50,000 soldiers on the planet's surface. They had destroyed the orbital defense platforms and cut off all communications with Earth. The colonial militia, just 3,000 strong, had retreated to the capital city of Horizon. Governor Alana Marsh stood on the walls of the city, watching enemy ships darken the sky. Behind her, civilians huddled in underground shelters, praying for rescue that might never come. "How long can we hold?" she asked her military commander, a grizzled veteran named Colonel James Park. 2 days, maybe 3, he replied. "They have better weapons, more soldiers, and complete air superiority. We are just buying time." Marsh nodded slowly. "Then we buy every second we can. Every hour we hold is another hour for the fleet to arrive." Park looked at her with tired eyes. "The fleet is scattered across 17 systems. Even if they come, they cannot be everywhere at once." Marsh smiled, a fierce expression that made Park straighten his back. "You forget who we are, Colonel. We are human. We do the impossible before breakfast." The first attack came at dawn. Zorith soldiers poured through the city gates, their weapons blazing. The militia met them with everything they had, fighting from building to building, street to street. For every human that fell, they took 10 enemies with them. Colonel Park led a counterattack that pushed the Zorith back 3 blocks. He lost half his men doing it, but the enemy retreat bought precious time for the evacuation of the medical center. By noon, the militia had been pushed back to the central plaza. Governor Marsh picked up a rifle and joined the line. She had been a Marine before entering politics, and old skills never truly faded. Her shots found their targets with cold precision. The Zorith commander, a massive creature named Kreth, watched the battle from his command ship. He had expected the humans to surrender within hours. Instead, they fought like cornered animals, refusing to accept their defeat. "Increase bombardment," he ordered. "Level the city if you must. I want this rebellion crushed." His weapons officer hesitated. "Commander, There are civilian structures still standing. The Galactic Conventions. The conventions do not apply to those who resist, Kreth growled. Fire. The plasma bombardment turned the eastern quarter of horizon into ash. The shockwave knocked defenders off their feet. But when the smoke cleared, the survivors got back up and continued fighting. In orbit above the planet, something was happening. A tier in space appeared, and through it came the ISS Redemption, a heavy cruiser that should have been stationed 3 systems away. Behind it came 12 more ships, and 20, then 50. Admiral Marcus Chun commanded the relief force. He had pushed his engines beyond their safety limits to arrive ahead of schedule. Half his ships were running on backup power, their reactors nearly drained. It did not matter. They had arrived. All ships weapons free, Chun announced. Clear the orbital zone. Ground forces, prepare for atmospheric drop. We are taking back our colony. The Zorath orbital fleet numbered 40 vessels. They had been confident in their numbers, certain that no human force could reach New Geneva in time. That confidence died in the first volley. Human warships used a weapon called the Devastator, a massive rail cannon that fired tungsten slugs at near light speed. Each shot punched through Zora's shields like paper. In the first 30 seconds, 8 enemy ships became expanding clouds of debris. Kreth stared at his tactical display in disbelief. Where did they come from? They were supposed to be days away. His communications officer looked up with fear in his eyes. Commander, we are detecting similar arrivals across all target systems. The humans, they are everywhere. The battle for orbital supremacy lasted less than an hour. The Zorath fleet was shattered, its survivors limping away toward the edge of the system. Admiral Chun did not pursue them. He had soldiers to land and a city to save. The dropships descended like iron rain. 2,000 Marines hit the ground running, their powered armor making them nearly invincible to conventional weapons. They linked up with the surviving militia and began pushing the Zorath back. Colonel Park, wounded but still fighting, watched the Marines advance. Tears streamed down his face. They came, he whispered. They actually came. Governor Marsh clasped his shoulder. I told you, Colonel. We are human. We never abandon our own. The ground battle ended by nightfall. The Zorath soldiers, cut off from orbital support and facing fresh human troops, surrendered in their thousands. Those who tried to flee found no escape. Human ships controlled every route out of the system. Similar scenes played out across all 17 contested systems. On Artemis Prime, Admiral Sarah Wong destroyed a Zorath carrier group with a daring attack that saw her ship ram an enemy vessel at full speed. Her crew survived the impact because human engineers built ships that could take punishment no other race could imagine. On the mining world of Rockfall, civilians armed with industrial equipment held off enemy soldiers until the fleet arrived. A grandmother named Maya Chun became famous throughout human space for operating a mining laser that destroyed 3 enemy landing craft. At the Kairos Gateway, the most strategically important location in the Outer Territories, Admiral Vance herself led the counterattack. Her battle group of 200 ships faced a Zorath force of 300. The enemy commander sent a message offering terms of surrender. Vance's reply was simple. Surrender? We did not come here to surrender. We came here to win. The Battle of Kairos Gateway lasted 6 hours. It was the largest naval engagement since humanity first reached the stars. The Zorath threw everything they had at the human fleet, wave after wave of ships and fighters. Vance's formation bent but never broke. She used the gateway's gravitational field as a weapon, drawing enemy vessels into trajectories they could not escape. When the battle ended, 180 Zorath ships had been destroyed. Human losses were 43 vessels. It was a victory that would be studied in military academies for centuries. Vexon received the news of his failed offensive while sitting on his throne on the Zorath homeworld. His advisors had assured him that humans were soft, that they would crumble under pressure. Now, 17 assault forces were in ruins, and human ships were massing at the border of Zara space. What do we do? His war minister asked. If they attack our territory, they will not attack, Vexon said, though his voice carried no confidence. They are not conquerors. They will be satisfied with defending what is theirs. He was partially right. Admiral Vance had no orders to invade Zord space, but she did have orders to ensure this never happened again. The human fleet appeared in the Zorath home system 3 days after the last rebel attack was repelled. 4,000 warships arranged themselves in a formation that blotted out the stars. They made no aggressive moves. They simply waited. Vexan appeared on every communication channel in the system, demanding to know the meaning of this intrusion. Vance responded with a broadcast that reached every inhabited world in Zorath territory. You attacked our homes, she said. You killed our people. You thought we were weak. Let me show you what human weakness looks like. The fleet demonstration lasted 1 hour. Ships executed maneuvers that should have been impossible. Weapon systems targeting asteroids at ranges no Zorath sensor could match. It was not an attack. It was a message. Touch our holdings again, Vance continued, and we will not stop at your borders. We will not stop until your civilization exists only in history books. This is not a threat. This is a promise. Remember what you have seen today. The human fleet jumped away, leaving the Zorath staring at empty space. No shots had been fired. None were needed. The point had been made. The Galactic Council called an emergency session to discuss the human response to the rebel attacks. Representatives from 100 species debated what they had witnessed. Many were frightened by the display of military power. Others were impressed. The Valori ambassador, an ancient being who had seen empires rise and fall, spoke last. We have always wondered what humanity would do when truly threatened. Now we know. They fight. They win, and then they show mercy to those who do not deserve it. Perhaps that is the most frightening thing of all. On Earth, the victory was celebrated, but not forgotten. Memorials were built for those who had fallen defending the colonies. The soldiers who had held the line at New Geneva received the highest honors their civilization could offer. Admiral Vance returned to normal duty, refusing all offers of promotion or political office. When asked why, she gave a simple answer. Someone has to be ready for the next time. Someone has to make sure that when our people call for help, the help arrives. The Zorath Coalition never attacked human space again. Other races who had considered similar actions quietly abandoned their plans. The message had been received throughout the galaxy. Humanity protected its own. Always, without exception. And anyone who threatened human holdings would face the consequences. The stars belonged to those strong enough to hold them. Humanity had proven, once again, that they were strong enough indeed.